My name is Natalia, and this is my friend Indy.
Hi.
And today we wanted to talk about um, theatre and how, as visually impaired people, that can have some challenges, but also be amazing and really fun. And so it's just a general informal chat. Do you want to start with how we know each other?
So we met doing Stagecoach Performing Arts in September 2019, I think it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And we were doing further stages together. Um, yeah.
yeah. Pretty fun.
It was very fun.
Yeah. So we both do musical theatre, or we have done in the past. You do drama therapy, sort of?
Yeah, so I'm currently doing therapeutic arts, but working up to do drama therapy.
Very slay. That's really cool. And I've obviously done musical theatre since I was like 4, and we both like done it throughout our childhood and into adolescence and young adults.
Yeah.
So what's like your favourite thing about MT? What do you enjoy most about musical theatre, do you think?
Oh, so many things. I feel like just the people you meet through it, like finding those like-minded people and people with like the same interests, and like it's something to kind of bond over, and then working together is so much fun, and like creating something you're so proud of. But also it's a huge thing of escapism for me. Like playing a character, or even like when singing, like acting through singing or dancing, you're telling a story. And just for that period, so for like 3 hours that we'd be doing Stagecoach, or however long the show is, you're just not you, and you don't have your challenges and difficulties. You're just this character for that time, and it's just such a nice like breath of fresh air.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's such a fun thing to do with your free time, and you get to explore so much about yourself and other people when you're doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So how did you kind of get into doing performing arts? Like, was it like a motivation for you to do it, or what was there behind it, do you think?
I feel like part of it was I was very much a copycat little sister. Everything my sister did, I was like, yeah, I want to do that too. So it started with dance when I was about 2 or 3. And then so it went from ballet to like hip hop, and then she started doing like musical theatre. And I really wanted to do it as well, and she would do like school musicals and like school plays and stuff. And so I did, I think my first like performance that I can remember outside of like little school assemblies was our school musical of Beauty and the Beast in 2012.
Oh wow.
So I was in year 6. It was our year 6 musical. And I think that was my first production that you did like outside of school, and you would go in on like weekends and afternoons and rehearse and stuff. And I loved it. And then at the time I was living in Hong Kong, so I started doing some performing arts groups out there. And then when I moved over here, I then joined Stagecoach in, I think it would have been 2015, 2014.
That's really fun. Who did you play in Beauty and the Beast, can I ask?
I was Mrs. Potts.
Oh, that makes sense for you, I think. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So what have you gained from being like performing, like confidence, or like what sort of things? And as a follow-up question, what do you think that like the benefits of theatre are?
Yeah, definitely confidence. Like so much so. I also, as a kid, really, really struggled with anxiety, but also just social interaction with other kids my age. I didn't have many friends, and I really struggled to kind of know how to get along with people my age, and it really built those like social skills and like interaction skills and stuff, and just working with people, and then building those friendships throughout those groups. But yeah, massive like confidence. Like honestly, still in my day-to-day life, there's times where I'm like, you can do this. You've done bigger things than this. Or like even to the point where sometimes I'll be like, you're a character. Just be a character right now. Just to get through like a difficult moment. And it really kind of helps build my confidence, and
Absolutely.
there's definitely been a huge growth in there. What was the follow-up question, sorry?
What do you think the benefits of doing theatre are, just in general?
I think just like what I've said, confidence and social skills. There's a lot of teamwork and like collaboration skills as well, which is a lot of what we promote in like my course.
Yeah.
And you kind of learn how to work with others in that setting, so then when you have to work with others in other settings, it kind of makes it easier. But yeah, very much what I've just described already.
That's, yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's such a confidence booster, and it can really help you through those sort of like difficult times in your life.
Yeah.
And as you say, like being a character, you kind of learn so much about that. Yeah, that's really interesting. What, just like as a general question, what's been your favorite show that you've done in theatre, and why?
Oh God. Oh wow. I would say that Beauty and the Beast really stood out to me because that was my first. I would say, oh wow. There's so many that I did through Stagecoach that I loved.
Yeah.
I loved the charity showcase that we did in 2014 or 2015, whenever that was. But we didn't know each other then.
No, we were actually in the same show.
Yeah.
But for different schools.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. So we didn't actually really interact or know each other then. That was my first performance through them. I really loved doing Honk.
Oh my god.
It was really, really fun.
For people that don't know, Honk is a show about the ugly duckling, essentially. Yeah. I also did that in my time as in theatre. That was really, really fun to do. We wore little like swimming caps and stuff as little frogs. Yeah, very fun.
Yeah, there's so many. I like don't even know how to pinpoint them. I also really enjoyed the one that we devised, which was like heroes and villains storyline, because we got to do stage combat.
Oh, yeah.
And that was so much fun.
How did you find doing that as a visually impaired person?
It was really well adapted.
Yeah.
So our teacher at the time was very like willing to give it a go with me, and was like, I don't want her disability to stop her. I want to try it. I want to see if it can work. And so instead of, everyone else had like little batons that were maybe like 30 centimeters, 40 centimeters, whereas me and my partner had batons that were a meter long.
Oh my god.
So instead of just using one arm to kind of like swing at each other, it would be crossbody, like hitting each other kind of thing. And then we also did some work where we didn't have the sticks, which would be like pulling by the hair or pulling by the ears, which obviously through stage combat, you're not actually being pulled by your ears. It's done very safely. And our teacher worked a little bit more with us, like me and my partner.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that it was like completely safe. It was completely adapted. I was comfortable. My partner was comfortable. Obviously, she spent a lot of time with the other kids as well, but she just took a little bit of that extra time to work on it with us.
And that can be really beneficial when you're dealing with being visually impaired.
100%. And it was just, it wasn't a massive adjustment, but it felt massive to receive, you know? It wasn't like, oh, well, Indy can't do this performance because it's a risk, so, you know, she won't do the stage combat. It was more, I want to try, I want to work it out. And yeah, while that might have been a really small thing, for me it felt massive, because that was kind of my first one of my first introductions back into like a mainstream setting. Absolutely. And so for it to be adapted and me to be included meant the world.
Yeah, and doing stage combat, like, that's just incredible. That's also amazing.
Yeah.
I think I will have to agree and say the charity show that we did in, I think it was 2015.
I think it was, because I think I was
start.
14 when I joined.
That was probably one of my favourite shows that I did, but also I really, really enjoyed doing Fame, which was my last senior show. And the showcases that I did that summer. It was a really nice opportunity to be able to kind of say, this is what I've done since I was 4 years old, and now I'm being able to like put this into a really nice role. As we were talking last night, I got to perform a song from one of my very dream roles in a showcase that I did in the last summer. I was at Stagecoach, and that meant so much more to me than I think people realize. Yeah, absolutely, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what do you think, as visually impaired people, that is the biggest barrier doing musical theatre as a visually impaired person? There's quite a few different things that like people don't realise actually are quite like hard to combat.
Yeah.
And how did you overcome those barriers that you found in doing theatre?
I think it's very much about finding the right people in terms of teachers that are willing to adapt, because I think a lot of people in my past have kind of looked at the vision impairment and not me, and kind of seen what it is on paper and gone, oh, she's a risk. Like we need to be careful with her, we need to make it easy for her, kind of thing. But
Absolutely.
by doing that, making it easy for everyone else, which wasn't fair, and no one enjoyed that. Whereas, you know, at Stagecoach, they looked at me as a person, and because I had done one show beforehand, they were like, no, she's capable. And it's just, yeah, like I said, like just taking that little step, which like it's not a hard thing to do. It's just, are you willing to do it? But also just things like, again, with adapting, like, you know, making scripts larger, or like just taking that extra time to kind of run through choreography, or like a stage sequence. Like I remember in some shows where we'd be in the wings, and obviously the wings are dark, and I would have I think it was in Honk that I had to go off on stage left and literally immediately go around and come back on stage right. And we had someone at each corner to help me in the wings, because it was pitch black back there. And so that I wouldn't move the curtains, which is a big rule in theatre.
Yeah. Don't move the curtains, otherwise you will get told off.
Yeah, do not touch the curtains. And it was just these little things that were just so easily, like, it was so easy for them to be put in. It was just, are you willing to put them in? Are you willing to take that little bit of extra time just to work it out?
And also asking, like, what works.
Yeah.
When we did our showcase, when I was a senior, we had one of my other friends in the wings with a flashlight to kind of like just direct me towards the wing, because I was on stage alone, and when it goes to blackout you're like, which direction am I going in?
Yeah. So
to have like one of my friends just in like the wings with her phone torchlight on, that was really helpful. I just ran towards that, and like that was it.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. It's so easy to make those small little changes. Like it's even just standing at the front doing choreography, and then obviously then when it comes to the real performance, standing in the space they want you to.
It's just, are you willing to make those changes? Because I think a lot of time in theatre it's very like go 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 go, and I think a lot of times they don't want to take that extra time, and it's just about finding that group that will. And once you find it, it's wonderful. Like it makes the world a difference. And it's a small thing that just needs to be done.
Yeah, so I think definitely communication is probably one of the biggest things to overcome those barriers. Brilliant. So what aspects of either watching or performing theatre, because most people that perform theatre also like watching theatre.
Very much so.
Yeah, absolutely love it. What do you think still needs to be discussed and more awareness needs to be brought to the theatre world, either watching, performing, or just in like the wings and stuff?
There's very little representation. Well, currently, I can't think, unless I'm forgetting any, but I can't think of any representation where there are any blind roles or visually impaired roles. Or if they are, they're quite often played by a sighted actor, and it's not accurate representation. But even for other disabilities, like there's somewhere I can think where there's wheelchair users, but they're played by an able-bodied actor, and it's just... I would really love to see some representation in theatre, and also like how audio described performances are very rare.
Yeah.
Very, very rare. And it's very much like you have to go to this one only to be able to get audio description. And it makes it very restrictive because, you know, if you're not available on that date,
yeah, you can't
make
go.
it. And I feel like that would be, including more of those would be hugely beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, in terms of performing, everything I've already said, just making those little adjustments. But I would really love to see more representation and just more diversity within theatre. There's a huge lack of diversity in theatre. And like it's getting better in other categories, in other minorities. But there still needs to be an adjustment within disability and vision impairment being represented.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I honestly, I can't even think of like someone who is visually impaired that like is a character.
No.
It's really, it's very much theatre, especially in modern day theatre. It's very based on like your standard Joe or like your standard girl. Like it's very like there's not very much diversity, and I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
I also think that theatres and companies need to get better at giving discounts to like closer seats.
Yes.
I've found that there are some companies that do really good discounts, and it's meant that I've been able to see a lot more theatre recently. Like last year when I discovered Delfront Macintosh Theatre Company, they do really good discounted tickets for visually impaired and access card holders. And so last year when I discovered this, I went to see like more shows than I'd ever seen before, and I was literally in the first like 3 rows of those shows. It's the same with ATG. They've recently got better at their access card holder discounts and stuff, but I think it's still quite restrictive. I've been trying to see Phantom of the Opera with one of my friends, and it's really hard to get like good discounted tickets close to the front.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you're paying for the close view just as the close view. You're paying for it so you can actually see the show.
It's an access need.
Yeah.
It's not I just want to be closer. It's I need to be closer.
Yeah, I think that still has a bit of a way to go in terms of making theatre accessible. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So a final question, just to kind of wrap things up. Why do you think someone listening or watching this should get involved in theatre? Maybe they think it's scary, they don't like the fact that there's loads of different things happening at once, like it can be a very overwhelming experience. What's changed like your life about like what's theatre done to change your life?
Oh God, so much. Like I don't think I'd be the person I am had I not done theatre. Like I remember my first day of Stagecoach crying in the car park and begging not to go in. I was terrified. I was beyond scared. Like I said, that was one of my first introductions back into a mainstream setting because I went to a school for the visually impaired. And I was terrified. I was very nervous of like exclusion and bullying and stuff and the teachers not being great. And it was the best thing I've ever done. And now I kind of live by that, like saying, like, all the best things in my life have scared me the most. And it's very much like, take that leap. It's terrifying. But sometimes something amazing comes out of it. And I genuinely think it's benefited me so much in so many different aspects of my life. And now, like, I'm such a strong advocate for keeping creativity in my life and as well as others, like keeping creativity and playfulness and just having creative expressive outlet is such a benefit for like your well-being and your mental health and even sometimes your physical health. Because I think all too often we're too busy and quick with our lives and we don't really take that time to be creative and play and enjoy those kind of things. And genuinely it's so beneficial for your well-being and mental health. And I think try it out, know your worth, know what you need, advocate for yourself, don't take no for an answer, and find the place that works for you. You know, you may go to one theatre company and it not work the first time, and you try a different school and it does work. Like find what works for you. Do not settle for a place that won't be willing to support you. But if you're really passionate about it, take the leap.
Yeah.
Try it out.
I mean, it's worked for both you and me, so
Exactly.
what can you say?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's such a good outlet creatively, and it's just, it can, you know, as you're kind of working on now, like it can be a great channel for emotions that you can't really explain in words. And also the friends you meet, like you meet so many amazing people, like
100%.
I miss my theatre group, like, and the people I met there so much. The teachers were great.
Oh god.
Like we were literally sat here talking yesterday about all the teachers that we shared and like how much we miss them.
I genuinely miss being a student there so much. Like I work there now, but I miss being a student. I miss just doing the shows and learning, and it was so much fun.
And it can obviously build your confidence, and not only just like in your general confidence, but your confidence to ask questions and to have that help and ask for that help when needed. But that's kind of it. I hope you enjoyed listening to this and watching this, depending on the platform. But yeah, and obviously any questions, please do get in touch. And yeah, it's been great talking to you. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. Okay.
Thanks.
Bye. Why did I say bye? It's like a phone call. Bye.